This is the Jabberjaw Podcast Network. Visit jabberjawmedia.com for more shows like this one.
Hey guys, what's going on? This is Chris from That One Time on Tour. I wanted to stop by and let you know about rockabilia.com. It is your one-stop shop for all of your band merch with the largest selection of officially licensed music merchandise in the entire world. They have sent me so much cool stuff. I got Misfits stuff, Iron Maiden stuff, Metallica stuff, Converge. I lean a little bit more towards the heavy side, but they have what you want too. If you like Taylor Swift, I'm sure they've got some Taylor Swift stuff. So head on over to rockabilia.com and at checkout, put in the promo code PCJabberjaw and you'll get 10% off. Check them out now, rockabilia.com.
Hey, this is Dewey Halpus, host of the Peer Pleasure Podcast, part of the Jabberjaw Media Podcast Network. The Peer Pleasure Podcast is an arts and culture podcast. Join me as I discuss life and content with your favorite performers, artists, and creatives. From Fall Out Boy to Slayer, there's something for everyone. Listen and subscribe at jabberjawmedia.com.
Episode number 60 of That One Time on Tour is brought to you by the band Job Creators. Job Creators is a New York-based psychedelic rock duo consisting of a bassist armed with audio samples and a synth-playing drummer. Originating in the greater Boston music scene, they've played everything from festivals, breweries, and even an old coffin shop in Brooklyn. They have a new record coming out this fall on JMB Records titled Dream Harvest. Make sure to check them out tomorrow, July 11th, at their show at Pianos in New York City. To find out more about the band, check out jobcreatorsband.com or on Instagram at jobcreatorsband. Now here it is, their new single, Dream Harvest.
What was it like to wake up having not previously gone to sleep? And that's the same sort of weird question as what it would be like to go to sleep and never wake up.
This is Jonathan from the band Brazil. I just want to let you know that we'll be playing our first show in 10 years Friday, August 30th at the Hi-Fi in Indianapolis with the bands Pillars and Rooms. We're celebrating the 15-year anniversary of the release of A Hostage in the Meaning of Life, our debut album on Fearless Records. So come out Friday, August 30th at the Hi-Fi in Indianapolis. It's going to be an amazing time. Go to hifiindy.com for more information.
Hey, this is Travis from Coheed and Cambria, and you're listening to That One Time on Tour.
Run for the road, this is going on and on. We'll be driving through the darkest night until the break of dawn. We'll be heading for the city, another show for us to play. Just get back in the van tomorrow, we'll do it all again.
Hello and welcome to another episode of That One Time on Tour. As always, I am your host, Chris Swinney, back with another stellar conversation with somebody in or around the music industry. This is episode number 60. Can you believe it? We are at 60 episodes already. I want to thank you guys for checking out last week's episode, which was episode number 59, with Mark O'Connell, drummer extraordinaire for Taking Back Sunday. I want to give a shout out to Mark, not for only being on the show, but I was talking to him the other day, and his wife is getting ready to give birth. So new baby alert. Good job, Mark and family. And I hope everything goes well. And we are sending you lots of love from That One Time on Tour. And this is episode 60. I got to tell you about episode 60. This is a big episode. I got to sit down and talk to one of my buddies from a long time ago. I hadn't seen him in years. Travis from Coheed and Cambria is on today's program, and you guys are going to love it. We talked about so much great stuff. Travis he's a trip, man. He's probably one of my favorite guests I've ever had on the show, and I cannot wait to have him back. But you guys got to hear this one before I talk about having him back. So before we get to my conversation with Travis, I do want to do a little housekeeping. Keep the lights on. We do have sponsors that help out the show. Up first, still on board, we have Artist Flags. They make scrims and backdrops for the stage. They're amazing. If you have a band or a company and you need some promotional stuff, hit up artistflags.com for all the information. They're also on all the social media platforms at Artist Flags. I need to tell you about Permanence Tattoo Gallery. You guys have heard me say it all the time. It's my favorite shop here in Indiana. Mr. Jacob Harrison, former guest on the program, is the owner and an awesome tattoo artist in his own right. So if you are in central Indiana or you want to travel to get some good ink, head on over to Permanence Tattoo Gallery. It's on Meridian St in downtown Anderson, Indiana, or you can check them out on Facebook and Instagram and everywhere else at Permanence Tattoo Gallery. Back for some more sponsoring, we have the amazing sock company Merge 4. They make amazing socks. They've got Sublime socks. They've got Circle Jerk socks. They partner and do collaborations with like artists and bands and surfers and skaters. They're really, really cool. And Cindy over there at Merge 4 decided she wanted to sponsor the show some more. And they're sending me some cool socks, and I can't wait. And that brings me to my next part of the sponsorship with Merge 4. We're going to be doing a Patreon-only contest where you can actually win some really cool stuff for Merge 4. So if you want to be eligible for the contest that is coming up with our great sponsor, Merge 4, head on over to patreon.com/TOTOT podcast. Get involved at the $5 a month level, and you can be eligible to win some really, really cool stuff. And if we do the contest and you didn't win, or you did win and then you want to cancel, go for it, man. Whatever. But yeah, if you want to be involved, you can head over to, like I said, patreon.com/TOTOT podcast. And I would like to give one more big shout out to Cindy and everybody over at Merge 4. Please check them out at merge4.com or on all the socials at Merge4. Okay, we're going to do our new segment, and I love this segment, TOTOT Radio. We have a theme song, and I was told by one of our patrons that I probably should have explained where the theme song came from. It's actually a Rancid song that NoFX covered for this little split like series thing where they covered each other's songs. So we're going to get into the theme song, and we're going to hit the new segment, TOTOT Radio. Here it is.
When I've got the music, I've got the place to go. When I've got the music in me, I got a place to go.
On this installment of TOTOT Radio, I am going to be talking about an amazing band, a band that I have loved for a really long time. The band is called Permanence, and they're wonderful. They're metal, but they're kind of funky, but they're kind of spacey. They're an amazing band, and I love them so much. And I can't wait to go see them. I'm going to see them on July 21st here in Indianapolis. Brian Nelson, the old bass player for the Ataris, he was also in the Widow Jenkins with me, and I've known the dude my whole life. We put Little League together, trying to get him on the show, but he is their front of house engineer. He's on the road with them right now. He just got back from South America with Permanence. And like I said, I don't really have anything to do with Permanence. I just really love them, and I know people that work for them. And I'm going down to see Brian and hang out and, watch the show because they're one of my favorite bands. I don't really know if I'll be able to get them on the episode or not. Who knows? I've been talking to their management, and it may happen, it may not. I might just go down and enjoy the show because, I don't want to be the guy that, hey, I want to come to your show and be on my podcast. I just want to go enjoy the show. So maybe it'll happen. Maybe I'll just enjoy the show like a normal person. But I did want to, give a spotlight to Permanence. They have a new record out called Gold and Gray. The really cool thing about Permanence, all of their records have color themes. And John, their singer, is an artist, and he's done all the artwork for the albums, as well as he's did like a shirt design for Metallica. Like, the dude is stellar. Yeah, I just wanted to give a little spotlight to Permanence. They don't really need my spotlight, but I love them. Check out their new record, Gold and Gray. They are on tour now. Like I said, they're going to be stopping by Indianapolis on the 21st. If you want more information on tickets or tour dates or whatever, go to yourbaroness.com, yourbaroness.com. And I just wanted to, tell you guys about my love for the band Permanence. So I'm going to play their new single. It's called Tourniquet. And here it is, Permanence with Tourniquet.
Merch Table was founded by artists just like you. We've slept on floors, played for everyone and no one, broken up, gotten back together, and taken everything we learned along the way to build a group of people who put creativity first so you can play while we work. Visit merchtable.com to learn more about our merchandising and online store solutions.
So that was Baroness with Tourniquet off their new record, Gold and Gray. Remember to go check them out on the road. If you're in Indianapolis, they're going to be there on July 21st. Get tickets and all the info at yourbaroness.com. Okay, longest intro ever. I'm going to get right into my conversation right now with Travis from Coheed and Cambria. We had a great time. You guys are going to love this. So without further ado, here it is, my conversation with Travis from Coheed and Cambria.
Thanks, Paul. That's my friend Paul, and his wife and his kid. And I saw them I live in Nyack now, New York, where we grew up. And I saw them like in town. And that's what happened. I had this whole fucking thing planned out perfectly. Walked the dog to my mother-in-law's, grabbed the car, but I saw them and like, chatterbox over here, just like, me going on and like I hadn't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
And we're just going back and forth. And I'm like, oh, I better start walking. Oh, it's okay. I'll walk and talk and it'll be perfect. And now it's pouring. So they were just like, can we drive you a ride? And I don't want to get in the car and be doing this. And then we're all talking. So I'm all good, man. I got a raincoat on. Like I said, I'm good.
Okay. So I'm just going to go from here. As you guys can tell, I'm on the phone with my buddy Travis from Coheed and Cambria. How are you doing today, man? Other than being wet, and getting stuck in the rain.
Oh, I'm all good, man. I'm fighting this fucking rain. But yeah, we're doing well, man. We're prepping for a tour coming up actually with Mastodon and Every Time I Die. So I'm really excited about that. Fans of both bands. Everybody is, and we're we're really looking forward to getting into the US tour cycle again. We've done like a few here and there on this new record, which I guess I'm supposed to plug that too, right?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about it, but you can go ahead and give it a plug if you want.
Yeah. We released a new record back in, I believe it was October, called Unheavenly Creatures. And we're basically been still touring on that, of course.
Yeah.
And we'll be, up until the new year. So, and maybe longer. You never know, right?
Well, I mean, Metallica used to tour for 2.5, 3 years on one record, right?
Yeah, well, that shit ain't happening anymore.
Yeah.
You know the game now.
Yeah, totally, man.
You best keep some sort of stuff coming.
Totally.
Or people get bored and they say, forget you. So,
well, and I think that's one thing that I really like about your band, and I always have, is the fact that there's so much, meaning, and like there's a story behind all the music you guys do, that kind of a narrative that connects it all together. So it's probably hard for you guys just to do the single thing, right?
It is. We try, and I think that, it should be easier. It's just, I think sometimes, there's a couple of things that work against us, but they also work for us on the other side. It's like, we have this whole other world conceptually, and we have all the things that come with that, with comic books, and more will come, like all these different ways that we explore media, and it's promotion in itself. But I think that it also, like, it overwhelms, people that are your standard, like, radio programmer or anybody who, even your average listener, and they're like, well, I don't know anything about this fucking concept, like, yeah. So why should I try and get involved? I don't want to dive into that, when they don't understand that you don't have to. Like, knowing us for so many years, you understand, we're a fucking rock band, yeah. And our songs come from real life experiences, but they're also have this whole other world. And, finally, as I got older, I started to understand that as much as, we could think it was a curse in certain ways, it's been this blessing that it's set us aside and made people, like, as much as somebody could be like, what the fuck is up with that band having to have their concept and this and that? Well, they were talking about us, like.
I think there's so much more that people can dig into if they are the obsessive audiophile, yes, kind of guy like me, because there's so much there, and you guys can have that almost like cult following and be one of those bands where the fans are so loyal, Absolutely. And that's where like, finally,
as I got older, like just kind of understanding like, oh man, this whole thing, yes, of course it was Claudio's baby to have the concept, but as a band, we've, like pushing forward, pushing that whole world, you know what I mean? I've been a huge advocate of it, like, since we were in our 20s, I kind of started to say, you know what, there's something to this. Like, this is like a really cool thing for us to have on the side of what we do, like on the side. I mean, it's just as big as the music, like, so, it's like a 50-50 thing. I mean, there's people that have no idea what the hell that whole concept, consists of, and that's fine if they just appreciate us as a band,
Yeah.
That's fine. And that's kind of the way it should be. But going back to your original question, it's always been tough, like, because it's like, we'll have these songs that I think are perfect, like for, I don't know, what's radio play now? You know what I mean? Like, we've all tried to play that game, but we're still trying to play it. And I think every band and artist is trying to play it, because really the game is just to get into as many ear holes as possible.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think there's countless songs specifically on this new record that would be perfect for that kind of avenue, but it's about people taking the chance on it. And it seems like they kind of are right now. We have a bunch of radio stuff we're doing this week, acoustic stuff. And that's why it was so hard to, like, yet again, I apologize. Like, it was like, when the fuck can we do this? And I'm glad we could, like. Well,
I was just excited because, I hit you up the first time. You're like, oh, I'm going to be in Germany, but I'll hit you up. And then I figured in a month or two, I'd hit you back up, but you got right back to me and we're like, let's do it, man.
Because I was excited when I listened to some of the stuff, like just like being able to dig in. I think it's a great idea. I mean, it's a whole other world that, some people think it's so much more glamorous than it is.
Well, that's the thing with this podcast. Like, the tagline on the website and everything is, find out what it's like to live your dream, or in some cases your worst nightmare.
Yeah. We've all had plenty of those, man.
Yeah.
Like it's like one of those things that we're all born with. Like, I don't know if we're born with them, but like maybe it's nature versus nurture kind of thing. But some of us like are wandering souls, and we really feel the need to get out there. But I think a majority of us that are touring musicians are also like, we're in an ongoing conflict, because we're also somewhat homebodies.
Yeah.
And like, so you're in this ongoing conflict of like, I want to be on tour so bad. Oh my God, I can't wait to fucking get home. This sucks. Oh wow, I want to be like, I've been home for a month. What am I doing? I'm crawling out of my skin. It's like, maybe that's just part of the artist's conflict too, and like it just spreads into that whole world. But you'll take your average, well, I say average person, that's almost like insulting, because what's the fucking average person? What's normal? But you take somebody who doesn't try to do what we do for a living and never attempted it, and they look at it like, oh my God, you guys must be fucking doing like, threesomes. You're doing threesomes every night, brother, and you're, like, you're fucking.
I always tell people it's not like Motley Crue's The Dirt. That's not what happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, and every time a majority of us have tried to live it out like it is like that, it ends in crashing disaster. So, not that it didn't for them, but in certain ways. But let's face it, they lived a hell of a life. But, we're lucky, man. I mean, specifically speaking for myself in my own scenario, like, Coheed has been extremely lucky for the fans. And you kind of said it yourself, like almost, cult following that we've developed, and how dedicated they are to us. Like, we'd be nowhere without that, and so in a sense, like, if anybody were to be like, oh, Woody, it sounds like you're complaining. You're saying it's not like The Dirt, or saying, I don't know, that's their reality. Our reality is completely different. What we came up in and how we did it, living in the vans and everything, is different than what that world was, like, so it's a whole other world, and we're lucky we have it. That's all I'm trying to get to, like, I feel very lucky that I've been a part of everything, down to the tours where we're sleeping on amps, you know?
Well, I want to talk about probably one of those tours. The first time that I ever met you guys, and I'm sure you don't remember this, later on we toured together, but the first time that I met you was in Bloomington, Indiana, where you guys played this little like all ages place. I'm not even sure who you were on the road with, but then we all ended back at this like house party. And
I mean, was it in the house? Was it a house show?
It may have been a house show. I don't remember. I just remember talking to you and Claudio, and you guys gave me the debut record on Equal Vision, second stage turbine blade, right?
Yeah, second stage turbine blade.
Yeah. So you guys gave
the turbine in there.
Yeah, turbine. Sorry, I don't know why I said that.
Dude, don't worry about it.
I'm looking at my notes and I messed up. But no, you guys
right.
You guys actually started talking to me, and like I'd heard the name of the band because I was pretty plugged into the music scene, and I saw you guys play, but then. And I really liked you, but then you're like, oh, come out to the van with us. And you got me a CD and just gave it to me. And that was my first introductory to you guys. And that was like that first tour, I'm pretty sure, right after. It only been out for like a week, I think.
Look at us plugging. Yeah, man. I mean, shit. We were proud of it, Don. And that was the game, right? We were all in it together to try and spread the word to each other about each other's bands. Like,
yeah.
So I do. I remember... If it's the one place I'm thinking about, I feel like the show was in a house.
I think it was in a house because I think there was like another show I went to where I think I played the all ages venue with my old band. Then we ended up at the house and you guys were playing. I think that's what happened.
Was it? Yeah. Was it called the Octopus's Palace or something? And it had like a boiler in the basement.
That sounds super familiar, but man, it's been so long ago. I don't even. remember.
Yeah. We went to that place a couple of times and it was just a basement, dude. And we played a lot of basement shows. We played a lot of DFW. You know, we did that whole world. That was our world, man, and that was your world too. And
yeah,
I wouldn't replace it with anything. That was our fucking college, you know.
Well, I got
an associate's degree, and we jumped in the, you know, and everybody we were like, okay, well, we're gonna go try this. And it's like, all right, this is what we're doing.
Well,
you know?
It worked out because later on, the next time that I actually hooked up with you guys was when I was playing with a band called Brazil, and we actually shared a manager, Blaze James, really great guy. You guys still working with Blaze?
Yeah, absolutely. Blaze is still working us hard.
That's awesome. Well,
yeah.
I wanted to tell you a story really quick. I don't know if you remember this or not, but Eric from Brazil and myself during Warped Tour, you guys actually let us sleep on your bus quite a bit because we had 8 guys.
I know, yeah. I was listening to one of the podcasts you guys were talking about. I was like, holy shit. Yeah. I remember that. And you know why we were so prone to that? Oh, I won't interrupt you. You go first, and then I'll tell you.
Well, I was just saying it was so great because we had like 8 guys in a van, and it was so hot, and it was horrible. And just every day, you or Claudio or somebody would come up and go, hey, one of you guys want to come sleep on the bus? I'm like, hell yeah, dude.
Well, that's what Thrice did for us and other bands, everybody, specifically Thrice. Really, like I remember the first time I slept in a bunk on Thrice's bus on Warped Tour. It was the Warped Tour. We were just in the van, but you know how grueling it is. Yeah. Like, you know, so we were just in the van, same shit, like 7 or 8 of us or whatever. And they were like, dude, one of you can sleep on here. Why don't you sleep on here tonight? And it turned into me or Josh doing it most of the time. But I remember climbing into that bunk and sleeping in it and being like, dude, this is like my own coffin. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and freaking out. Well, I'll admit it. I was high as hell.
Yeah.
I was stoned out of my mind, and I was just like, this is like my own fucking coffin. Am I going to die on this ride? You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, like, I kind of came down. I wasn't high anymore, and I was like, this is incredible. I was like, this is my own bedroom, and, you know, and it quickly became like, this is what we need to aim for, you know? Like, we need to have this and not have to sleep on the bench sitting up in the van. And so when we had a bus and we're hanging with you guys, it was like, dude, let us bring you into this comfort level. That's the supreme comfort level. And so we were happy to do it. That's all. It's like returning the favor that was bestowed upon us by prior bands.
I just remember like some of the guys in the band would be looking for me or looking for Eric, and they couldn't find us. And I'm in the back lounge playing a video game with your old bass player, Michael, like just hanging out.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, man. It was, and I'm glad that we were able to do that. And we would do that, like, you know, with other bands all the time, you know? So, I mean, actually it was like more or less doing it on a tour like that, or a tour where we had a band with a band that we would just like always offer that up. But you'll find like, I remember, I think the last time that somebody from a band came on and just slept on was originally the singer of Permanence.
Oh, okay, brother, John. Yeah, John's great.
Yeah, but his brother played guitar.
Okay.
You know his brother? His brother was playing guitar in the band originally. Super sweet guy. And, you know, we had a party night. And it just was like one of those, don't go in the van. Come with us, you know? Like, and you love when those kind of things happen, you know?
Well, dude, on that Warped Tour, though, I was taken care of because the nights I wasn't on your bus, I was on Silverstein's bus. So I never got in the van hardly.
Yeah, dude, you knew how to hop.
Yep, I was hopping back and forth, man.
That's more power to you, brother.
Yeah.
More power to you.
So I do want to get into a little bit of the history. On Wikipedia, it said the band formed in '95, but I know there were different incarnations and different names.
That's different bands. Yeah, that's different bands. Coheed and Cambria really started when four of us, that's a high school band.
Okay.
I was singing in that, Claudio playing guitar. Dude who was in, he actually performed 2 songs on second stage on drums. His name is Nate Kelly. He played drums in a band called Shabuti.
Okay.
Now, I joined Shabuti towards the end of that existence. It basically ended more or less when that drummer left and Josh joined. It ended, and we did use the name for a couple of shows because, and as far as local shows were concerned and bands, we were kind of known as that, and we didn't want to just lose whoever gave a shit. But then we were like, this is a completely different band and a different thing, and so Claudio had a side project that had the concept and everything, and back then I remember being like, yeah, I like the name. I mean, do we really, he probably won't bring the concept kind of thing, Yeah. And so we adopted the name Coheed and Cambria, and all the while in his head, he was always thinking, well, we're adopting that name. I'm carrying this concept over.
Yeah.
Go back to our early part of the conversation where it's a blessing in disguise that it, and I'm proud that we did it. But I just remember back then it was like, eventually it was like, well, we have this concept that's going to be going with it because you guys wanted me to bring this product. I was like, what, And so, but that was the beginnings, like started working on songs for second stage, Claudio had some stuff demoed. We would work on some stuff in, our original bass player, Mike's basement, his parents' basement, or there was a band called 3. I don't know if you guys ever ended up playing with them.
Yeah, I remember 3 because wasn't it some relation to Josh or something? Or
yeah, his brother, and he was in that band before he was in Coheed.
Okay,
but 3 still exists. I don't know if they're working on anything right now, but they're still a band. But they were more of a touring band and around a lot more than and they basically were like. Hold on. My wife just pulled up, Chris. I'm sorry. I can't get in.
That's okay.
Because I'm not going to interrupt this interview. And if you want to take her, and I'll just walk. I'll meet you down there.
There we go.
Yeah, now it'll be even easier without the dog.
Awesome.
I'll see you down there. Of course, we worked our ass off to get this going, and I got stuck in a monsoon. But it's not a monsoon. I'm being dramatic.
Yeah.
But anyway, so 3 let us rehearse in there. I remember specifically working on songs like, Devil in Jersey City, Claude already having like the riff and kind of chorus ideas and fleshing out like a bridge. And I have specific memories of some of those songs, and yeah, going back to what I said, lyrically, he was already kind of going that direction with a concept paralleling the real, or, the actual, the fiction and the reality kind of going together. And that was where we were first started experimenting. So the band began there, and I would say that's around 2000.
Okay.
Yeah. If anything, late 99, 2000.
So you guys, signed Equal Vision and put out the debut in 2002. What was the process like for gaining their attention or getting the relationship going with Equal Vision?
We were all over the place trying to get people interested, as you do in a band, and trying to basically sell ourselves, if you will. see who would sign us on. And Equal Vision, you know, we had these top picks being, you know, from the era we were from. Like, you had your top picks of labels at the time, you know, like we loved a lot of things that were released on Revelation. We loved a lot of things that were released on, you know, put any label here.
Yeah.
And it was like, we're going to try for that. But Equal Vision was a New York-based label, of course, hardcore punk label, but a label that we actually, you know, had crossed paths with somewhat. And our friend who was working with us at the time, named Ashton, who's become an actor, a successful actor actually now, he was like, you know, pretty in touch with a lot of like the labels throughout New York. He had a band of his own, and they definitely weren't signed to Equal Vision, but somehow he had been in contact with them as well. And he was helping us kind of, you know, shop our demos around, because Second Stage at that point was a series of demos.
Yeah.
You know, we only had 2 songs recorded, which was a song called 33 and a song called Delirium Trigger. And those were from, like I said, those were the 2 songs where the original drummer from the other band, Shabuti, had played on. And those songs were intended. I'd say those 2 songs were the changing of the tide, right?
Yeah.
That's where it was like, we did these 2 songs and it was like, things were going a different direction. And then the original drummer of Shabuti quit. And then we started working on the other material. And we were like, we got to try and show this to people. And eventually, everything we were working on that became Second Stage were demos to show to labels.
Yeah.
And Equal Vision, basically, we're like, yeah, it's pretty cool, you know, like, we'll have to come out and see a show. They came out and saw 1 show. We got them to come out. And we had other labels come out to shows. I don't think that we had any real high interest at that point from anybody. But Equal Vision were interested, and by this time in our heads, we were on Equal Vision. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, no, we weren't pompous, but we were so excited that we have to make this happen. You know, we were in love with their symbol. You know, I remember Claudio being like, I'm just so excited to see the symbol on our record. And I was like, oh, me too, dude. So, like, we were like, we have to make it happen. And it was a huge disappointment that the first show they came to, they were like, I don't know. And I believe that it was Kirk from Equal Vision. Kurt might have like convinced, or it might have been Dan Sancho, but one of the 2 of them convinced the other to go back and check the band, because he was like, I really think something's there.
Yeah.
Because if originally it was like, nah, we're going to pass on that. And basically came out to the show, and that show went really well for us. I believe that we were playing with, remember the band Finch?
Oh, yeah, totally.
We were playing with Finch at a place called Valentine's in Albany. And we had so many fans that Claudio had to get, you know, we had so many fans there, which was surprise to us, like pleasant surprise in this scenario, of course. Pleasant surprise always, but if you got a fucking label that you're really trying to...
It's the right show to have them come out. Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to like, you know, trying to just really make sure that they think that you're kind of cool. Kind of cool. You don't want them to think you're overboard, because then they'll be like, fuck those guys.
Yeah.
But so basically we played this show, and we had so many people that turned up for us that Claudio had to get up and play like basically it wasn't even acoustic, it was on electric guitar, but a skeleton version of the song In Keeping Secrets, like minus any of the other band, like just him sitting there on a chair. And you know, I don't even think it was a finished song, you know, alone for him at that point. And he just played it, and people, you know, were stoked that they got another song, and we got done, and they were like, all right, you know, we want to work with you guys. I mean, I don't know if they told us that night, but they were excited about the show. I remember I had duct tape holding my shoe together that night. So
that's awesome, man. You could tell your kids that one day. Like, I remember when I had to use duct tape when I was getting signed to a record label.
So yeah, I mean, that was the start right there. I'd say like a year prior to that, so that was probably 2001.
Okay.
Was really where Coheed began. I'd say mid 2000s where Coheed began. So Wikipedia is going to say everything that happened throughout the years, you know?
Yeah.
It's going to talk about our fucking bands that we had in junior high. But, you know, because I guess it's confusing too, because the fact is Claudio and I have been playing together since we were 13, you know?
Yeah.
So that's like there were a lot of things that happened. You know how it is when you play in bands in junior high and high school. Like, members change every month, you know?
So what was the response when the debut came out on Equal Vision? I mean, was it good right off the bat? I know it started climbing pretty quickly, but what was it like when it first came out?
I mean, it was overwhelmingly good as far as we were concerned, because people were actually hearing what we were doing.
Yeah.
So it was like, holy shit, somebody cares, you know? Especially after all the years of the local shows and stuff like that. And so to us, it was exciting regardless. And we were getting in that van and plugging it no matter what. We play with whoever. It was very hard to place us. Like, you know, they'd give us tours with Shy Halud and From Autumn to Ashes. And then they'd give us a tour with one of, you know, Equal Vision's band, The Liars Academy, which was an older band from that era. Or they'd give us a tour. You know, we did some shows with AFI, which I think worked well. And
yeah,
we did some shows with, you know, and that was even a little bit later. They were placing us with all different bands just to try. But a lot of them were like heavier. Like, you know, we did a tour with Bloodlet, and it was like, it was fucking Bloodlet, you know? Like, I don't know if you're familiar with their music.
I'm familiar. Yeah, I'm familiar.
And I'm, you know, being a fan of their music, even then it was like, how's this really going to work? But it did, you know, it did. We were able to fit. And so basically we just kept doing whatever they threw at us. And, you know, and we would become like Bloodlet. We developed like almost like a family friendship kind of thing with those guys, where every time I'd even go to Florida, we'd like stay with the drummer John, and, you know, that'd be the place we'd crash, you know? And so like, it's one of those things where, just like you probably came up in it, it's like you start to develop relationships on the road, and that's how you kind of survive in that early period. And we just kept pushing and playing. And I think I was talking to Josh, Coheed's drummer, earlier today, and he said something that really struck a chord. Like, as far as Coheed and Cambria is concerned, like, don't get me wrong, couldn't be more proud of what we've done on record, but really as a live band, I think that's where, and he said it, and now I'm fully agreeing, it's like where we really are able to show what we do. And I think that's where we've turned people on the most.
Yeah.
You know, and so if it wasn't for having that, I think that we'd be a little lost, you know, but somehow we have a chemistry that we are able to pull it together on stage. Some nights a lot better than others, of course, but, you know, like we do it, and somehow it people gravitate towards that, you know, and I feel fucking lucky that we have that aspect, because I think that's what's gained us a lot of our following. And so we just kept going. That's all I'm going to say is we kept going. We just kept getting in that van. We just kept going and going and going.
Well, that's pretty cool, because, like, you know, a year later, you guys release In Keeping Secrets, I'll just say ... of Silent Earth 3. And, you know, that had some singles that got MTV airplay with the videos. It was certified gold. That's an insane jump from that first record. I mean, how did that just feel like a dream? Like it felt like a movie?
Yeah, I mean, you know, if I could look back at my younger self, I would have enjoyed that jump a little bit more and understood what it was. But especially in the upbringing we had, and we were surrounded by parents that played music. My father's a singer-songwriter, and my mother, you know, was earlier in life. You know, she has a fantastic voice, but she decided, fuck this music thing, because there's so much heartbreak involved in trying to have it as a career. You know, and I watched my father, like, you know, the ups and downs. So you're skeptical, you know, and then growing up in like, you know, whether it be the punk hardcore world, those roots, or even just like, you know, your local rock bands, you know, alternative rock bands, you know, that I grew up around that I respected, and they just broke up and they faded, and you just learn to kind of be a little jaded, like, this is going awesome, but when is the shoe going to drop?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I still got that, and I still try, and I mean, I think that it's good. It's good to have a healthy dose of that, because you're never really that surprised when something And we all have had our share, you know, as Coheed's had its share of like kind of, you know, bad times, if you will. And so when that shit comes up, you're prepared to fight, you know, or you're prepared to go forward, you know, and you understand that you can't just throw your arms up and be the victim and say, well, everything sucks and it's it, you know. It's like, so I'm glad that I had that. I just wasn't able to enjoy as much because of worry.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's part of it. So yeah, was it a surprise? Yeah, and it was a surprise that was kind of like, whoa, this is a little crazy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? People are really appreciating this. Oh boy, you know, is this bad or is this good? And then also, like I was saying, growing up around, you know, certain aspects of the scenes and stuff like that. You go too fast with something, people will just shun you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, they'll start to get a bad taste for you just because, oh, success, huh? Well, it's not like, it's like, well, it's not really like we're really actually still sleeping on amps here, but, you know, people are actually caring about the music. So at least it makes us like a carrot to get to that gig sleeping on this amp, you know?
So that success, you know, led to you guys signing with Columbia. Where did you have any reservations about going to a major label? I mean,
absolutely,
because you had so much success on an indie label. Some bands would just, you know, decide to just continue having that success. But I guess to push it to the stratosphere, you kind of need that major, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where I was like, how far do we want to try and go with this? As far as we can. And so what's going to be the benefit of going over here? Well, not only will they push more money into the actual, but they'll have more promotional skill and more, you know, like Equavision was a house at that point.
Yeah.
And they were doing fucking incredible, but they weren't offices and everything yet. Like they were running out of like Steve's basically, you know, garage at that point. And they were doing, like I said, they were doing incredible with it. But we were like, go into this huge Sony building we went to numerous labels, Chris, by the way. So I'm sure you remember that kind of world.
Yeah, totally.
When you go to the labels and stuff, you know, it's like, go ahead, boys, order the steak and lobster. And it's like, we were trying not to be too fazed by that and make the right choice. And I think we made the right choice with Columbia. Like, I mean, what's going to be the right choice in the end anyway? What are we going to look back on? I mean, Coheed's still here. We're still lucky enough to play shows that people give a shit. You know what I mean? We could have signed to like Epic, or we could have signed to somebody else and taken that chance, and it could have been huge for a year and a half, but then we might have just fizzled out and never been anything again.
Yeah.
So we don't know. Like, I think we made the choice that we were supposed to make at that point, and we did it. And, you know, and ever since we've been kind of bouncing around to who's going to allow us to be ourselves and who's going to be on board with Coheed being, you know, what we are. Like, the music can be outlandish. There's a whole concept. There's a whole world to it. There's comic books. There's, you know, there's like rabid cult following that, you know, care sometimes, you know, to get angry. They care so deeply. Sometimes they'll even get angry at something that we do because they don't feel like it's up to our potential, you know? And it's like, and I think a lot of bands have that. It's just sometimes our fans can be a little deeper with that.
Yeah.
And Josh coined a great word for that, a fan salt. So it's like, you know, yeah, I thought that version of that song was really good. I just wish you would have just stuck closer to the original, you know, but it sounded good, you know? It's like, that's a fan salt. So
I think you guys avoided the thing that a lot of bands do when they go to a major, because your debut, Good Apollo, it peaked at number 7, and to date it's sold like 1 million copies. So I mean, that's a great debut for a major.
And that goes back to like, how did you feel at that point? It was like, what's going on, you know? And it's like, yeah, man, I mean, we have been super fucking lucky in that sense, you know, like, because at that point it was a cult, you know, the cult following was there, but not as much as it is now. It was people still dipping their toes into it, and enough people took a chance on us, you know, like, yes, we had a major label backing it, this, that, and the other thing, but we still had enough of those people that stuck with us and took a chance on diving deeper, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And so, yeah, I mean, Sting said something really cool, like, you know, in some I remember watching some movie like about like I think it was like 6 Feet from Stardom or 5 Feet from Stardom, and it was about background singers. And he was just talking about like what's the rhyme and reason to being like, you know, in a band that actually people give a shit, like being somebody that gets, if I hate the word, but like famous, right?
Yeah.
So that's what a lot of people use that fucking word. But that word is like, to me, that word's like, I don't know, I despise that word because it's like, what do you mean? Like, you know, I mean, I look at somebody who's in a different category than the band we are, and, you know, or a lot of people that we know and cross paths with. I mean, I guess it's, I look at a Brad Pitt, that's famous, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I look
yeah.
at it like, but, you know, so that word, but I think that he did use that damned word, and it was like being famous, you know, famous rock star, famous musician, famous whatever. I don't know what the rhyme or reason. If I could say it's because you work hard, or it's because you are really talented, or it's because, but he said, I know plenty of people that have worked harder than me. It was really endearing to hear him say it. I don't remember how he worded it. And I might be throwing a lot more out there, but he was like, I think that it's just a combination, and it's a matter of like even luck.
Yeah, it's right place, right time with hard work as well. But I mean, there's so many musicians that I've known in my life that were amazingly talented songwriters and worked their asses off, and they're not doing anything now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that if you don't utilize any of those things, like if you don't have the hard work, but you're incredible, well, sorry, you're not. I mean, there are those fucking times, though.
Yeah, there's the exception to the rule, you know?
Yeah, this guy hasn't done shit. He doesn't do any promotion for himself, or this band doesn't do anything for themselves, and they're huge. You've seen that. It happens, but that's a rarity, man.
Yeah.
You got to have all those, like, wheels, those, like, little gears working at the same time. And then that's still not a guarantee anything's going to happen for anybody, you know?
Yeah.
It's just a fucked up thing. And then especially what we grew up in with the, you know, the file sharing world becoming, you know, basically our existence. Like it's not anything like what somebody can compare, like that, like an elder musician could compare to. They don't understand that, you know, like they've had to now.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I watched like a lot of people that were, you know, even my father, who's like a singer-songwriter, I'm trying to help him get his music online now that he wrote and recorded so much music since like the mid 70s, and it's never been out there. Like, you know what I mean? Except for like to his peers and people. And I'm like, dude, you just like, and he'll be like, oh, I'm just trying to send so-and-so this song that we're trying to work on together. And he's got a beautiful studio. I'm trying to burn this disc, and then I'm going to mail it. And I'm like, dude, you got to fucking just email an MP3. You know what I mean?
You
like,
can even text it if you want. I mean, like, it's so easy now.
So I'm just trying to like, but I spent years with him and like a lot of people of that era just being like, well, I mean, why are CDs going away? I still buy them. And it's like, you are so rare.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then vinyl, I collect vinyl, but I mean, let's face it, that leveled off. That was like, that had its heightened.
It got really hot a couple years ago, and now they're doing special stuff, but it's leveled off. Yeah.
It's leveled off. And I still collect, like, if I listen to something online, I will buy it if I like it.
Yeah.
Because I use Spotify, man. I mean, I use Spotify. That's why I used to listen to everything. I make playlists to do this and that and the other thing. But if I like something and I hear it on there, I'm going to buy it on vinyl. And that's how I'm going to support. And, you know, basically, then I feel like I'm kind of giving back to this fucked up world where, you know, basically stealing, you know, you know, I watched Trent Reznor's like, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction for the Cure.
Yeah.
And when he just talks about how, like, you know, the internet has basically reduced the art, you know, or like, he used perfect wording, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, damn, man, like that guy existed, you know, successfully within the music world 8 years before any of us were even sleeping on amps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was, you know, and labels took a chance on him just like they took chances on our bands and stuff. But when they took a chance and it was successful, he was selling records.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
totally.
Like, he was seeing dough from those records. But here he is, and he's fully affected just like the rest of us. So it's like, you know, and hearing somebody that, like, you know, we respect so much as an artist, like, you know what I mean? At least me personally is like, you know, it's endearing to hear. It's almost like we're united in the fight to not say, hey, fuck you for downloading our art illegally, but hey, help us out here, because if you want to see us still doing this, at least buy the tickets to the shows.
Well, that's we talk about Lars and the whole Napster thing a lot on this podcast.
Yeah.
And I feel like so many people gave him shit because, oh, he's rich Lars Ulrich from Metallica, you know, the richest drummer in the world, whatever. But he was doing that for bands like your band and like my previous bands. He didn't care that he wasn't getting paid off of Master of Puppets. It was changing the entire industry for artists. That's how I feel. I feel like, I mean, I kind of at the time was like, oh, Lars is rich. I kind of fell into that too.
I did too. No, I did too. I think more on my side of it was, I mean, it's not going to make a difference there, Lars. Stop. You sound like a crotchety old man now.
Yeah.
Like, let it go. That's what my issue was. It wasn't no, I'm for the stealing. I mean, I was doing it.
So was I. Yeah.
Fucking lie. I had Napster. Then I had BearShare. Then I had LimeWire. I had all that bullshit.
Yeah.
And I feel guilty for it now. I do. Like, I have like an artist's guilt because I'm like, well, why should I fucking be mad at anybody else?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you know, like I made playlists, or not even playlists at that time. Motherfucker, I had cassettes. Like, this is how deep I went. I got so deep that we had the dial-up modem still when Napster first dropped.
Yeah.
That I didn't have like a CD drive on our computer, so I did the RCA or however the cables. Yeah, it was RCA, I guess, from my fucking cassette player into the fucking to the computer, and I recorded cassette mixes of Napster shit.
That's awesome.
So, and I would give them to like hilariously enough, like friends and stuff, and it was stolen music.
Yeah.
And then I got a computer with a CD burner, and dude, it was on.
It was, yeah. Over. As soon as I got an external CD burner for like this old crappy one I had, and after that it was over. I remember when like I think it was Hopeless or Subcity was putting out The Illusion of Safety by Thrice, and I was already a big Thrice fan, and they were like debuting one of their singles, and you could download it for free. And at the time it took me like 25 minutes to download one song.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. I remember that shit. I remember that. Like, it took me longer. Like, I remember doing that. I think I remember with the At the Drive-In song called Catacombs.
Okay. Yeah.
That was in between. I remember doing that with that song. I remember at Cave-In, they put up a song online, and I think it was before Jupiter, or right around. Like, we were just dipping our toes in that too. So there were bands around us that we respected that were doing it, and we were like, that's when everybody was like taking tips from each other. And I remember looking at Claudio and I looking at the Cave-In website and a bunch of other websites of bands, like, you know, at that time period. I remember going and seeing them and then plugging their website, and we just started developing our own site that Claudio was kind of putting together, which is like, you know, 1 million letters at the end of it. God, I can't even remember what it, but
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I remember like actually a month ago what the actual site was, and I wouldn't dare say it. Actually, I think it just hit my mind, but I wouldn't dare say it because what if somebody was able to find it?
Is it still up? Have you checked to see if it's still up?
I don't think so, but it's so embarrassing to think about. Like, we had friends that would write fake reviews of the shows, and it was just funny. Like, so we had this site, like, you know, definitely find a definitely fucking low budget, but, you know, it was perfect for what we were trying to do at the time.
Was it on angelfire.com?
Maybe, you know, that'd be a question for Claudio because he developed it at his parents' house. Actually,
well, I'll tell you, if he didn't take it down, it's still there because my first band was called Chronic Chaos in high school, and our first website from, I'm going to say 98, 99, I found it the other day. It's still
holy shit. No, I mean, I think that we've all searched. I think it's gone.
Okay,
but if it ever resurfaced, it would be gone again within 2 seconds. Yeah, but with still shots taken, so that we have the memory, but none of you other people out there, or whatever.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I mean, like, that was that era. Like, we would put a song on there. I think we tried to put a song on there, or there was a song on there, or whatever. And like, that was when we figured out this is what you have to do. And so that was right there where Lars was starting his stink, and it was just like, yeah, but this is what we're in, man. This is what we're in. We're all fucking, you know. So that was my problem with it. It wasn't, oh, you're rich. I mean, I'm sure I said it.
Yeah.
Let's face it. But I mean, I was more like, dude, we got to accept it and move forward. And and it never changed. You know, it's gotten, you know, they talk about catching on more and being able to get artists paid a little bit better for like streaming, but I haven't seen that happen really.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have to have millions and millions of streams on Spotify, but I'm sure your bank account's not doing much better.
No, you don't, you know, and I hope someday that changes. Who knows? But
yeah.
We're too busy trying to work to plug the art that we're still making and play shows, because we know that the shows are where you go and actually, you know, people can support you.
Yeah.
But albums are just promotion for those shows.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
And promotion for the other media outlets, such as the comics and whatever else, you know, we can push, like the Amory Wars.
Yeah.
Through, you know, and so like that's basically how I look at it, man. It's like we want the music to be the best it fucking can be. There's no doubt about it. That's still where it's important, but live is where we're really going to make a living, you know.
So let's talk about how the video game Rock Band helped you guys out, because
that was huge.
Welcome Home being on that game. At the time I was teaching guitar in between tours and whatnot, and the amount of young kids that would come in and say, I want to learn Welcome Home by Coheed and Cambria. And I look at this like 8-year-old, 9-year-old kid, and I'm like, how the hell do you know that band?
Yeah, it was massive for us, man. There's no denying how incredibly helpful that was to propel us to all, you know, to new levels, with at least a certain demographic.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. You know, like I could say, like, there are people that played, I can say this very, very sure that I'm right on, that a lot of people that played that listened to the band that never would have given it a chance.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, can I say that all those people are the ones that followed and stayed with the band forever the way that some of our incredible fans have? No, I can't say that. But for that time period and for like kind of being able to give us a jump start to go to another level, that definitely helped.
Well,
you know?
I'm sure that like if you look at like the law of percentages, probably a high percentage just kind of were casual, but I'm sure you guys picked up a lot of people that bought everything and got obsessed with the band as well.
Well, yeah, I think you're right. I'm saying the majority of them probably weren't those, but there definitely were. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, anybody that was playing that game religiously was probably very interested in music, you know?
Yeah.
You know, there were people that were just like, you know, fair weather fans of music, not like, you know, this is funny, I get to play a rock star on a video game, but there were a lot of people that were like, you know, eventually went on to play real guitar.
Yeah.
Because they were like, oh shit. And then they realized it was completely different, but you know, like, it was intriguing. I had it, you know, the game, I played it. I remember, you know, we had people over and everybody get loaded and try and play Rock Band. And I got to watch Claudio sing it at one of his parties once. I don't think that he got the highest.
I was never good at it because I'd try to add stuff that wasn't there, even on like expert mode. I was never good at playing that game. I don't know.
Yeah, me either. I especially if I played the drums, like I'd be like, this is totally not what they're doing, you know? So it's like, I remember I had the Beatles one. I had a bunch of them, but it definitely was a huge deal for the band at that point to be part of that. You know,
that's awesome, man. Well, hey, I've got some listener questions. You mind answering some listener questions?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so Jeremy from Texas, this is kind of funny. He wanted to know if he can get a lifetime guest list pass since he named his kid Cambria.
Nah, you name your kid Coheed, maybe it'd be a little different. I've never met anybody that named their kid Coheed, so I can say the band is honored and incredible how many people name themselves after, you know, characters, specifically Cambria, which is a fucking beautiful name.
It's awesome.
Let's face it, you know what I mean? Like, it's a beautiful name, but I've yet to meet a Coheed.
Well, that would be cool. Well, if there's anybody out there,
I'd give you lifetime passes either, because you know what? What did we just talk about?
We got to
keep doing this too.
That's completely perfect, man. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but hey, I'll give you like something. I don't know what. Hey, some signed shit. I don't know, like whatever. Like Something cool.
Cool. So next time you're in Texas, Jeremy, come out, find Travis, and he'll give you some.
I'll definitely give him a couple of passes.
Yeah. Okay. A couple of passes.
I can't say lifetime, but yeah. So, awesome. But don't name your. But don't think I'm trying to say name your daughter Coheed, because that's absurd too. But if you have a son, you want to name it Coheed, we'll talk about them passes. How about that?
Okay, awesome. Okay, well, I've got Chris from Illinois wants to know if you have any pre or post show routines.
Pacing. I just pace.
Okay.
I've been pacing. Like, I actually got to my mother-in-law's where I was picking up a car when I was walking, and I've been pacing on the phone with you up and down the streets of Piermont here for about fucking 25 minutes, and I just look like a real crazy dude. That's all good. But that's what I do before the show. I will put pace up and down the hall, pace somewhere. Sometimes I'll just stay in my bunk, like, biding my time. It's actually a game I play where I just wait for our tour manager, Chuck, to come in.
Yeah.
And I say, "What, motherfucker?" And they'll just be like, "It's time. It's time. You just stay until the last minute, don't you?" And I just say, "Yeah, no, I just love you coming in and just, like, looking like a little like, oh, my God, you're not ready at all." But I just stay in there and fucking chill. And then I'll pace.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like that. And a little, like, you know, Claudio does, like, really, really extreme vocal warm-ups, which actually, like,
I mean, I would think he would have to with his voice. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he does, like, stuff that really works for him and that he, you know, developed years ago. And because we do a lot of background vocals, it's hilarious. He'll be doing it in the back. Sometimes I'll either be pacing up front or just kind of sitting somewhere in my bunk, and I'll just start doing it because I know it so well now. And I'll be like, well, if anything, all it could do is help me to sound better when I'm singing backgrounds.
Yeah.
So I'll start doing, like, his, you know, he'll do with his tongue and stuff like, okay, I'm just going to follow him on this. He's like, he's back there, he hears me doing, he's like, shut the fuck up, it's confusing me. But, so yeah, I mean, it's like, it's really just for me pacing and doing like a little bit of a kind of like brainstorm. Cool. I don't think about my whole life before I go on like Dewey Cox.
Yeah.
But I probably think too much still.
Yeah. Shout out to Dewey Cox if no one out there has seen that movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so Aaron from Texas wants to know what your weirdest fan interaction was.
Fan interaction.
Yeah, or something weird. It doesn't have to be the actual weirdest, but.
You know, I wish I had a really, really great one for that. I just, you know, I've had some that have been just extremely like, are you kidding me? Like, you know, let me just up on there, man. I want to say hi to everybody. And, you know, just like, what? Like, you want me to let you up on our home and you're just going to go in there and chill?
Yeah.
No, sir. I don't know you. But, trying to think, you know, I wish that I had that lined up because I'm sure there's some kooky ones, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we've signed prosthetic legs.
Yeah.
We've signed, you know, but nothing too, you know, somebody takes their leg off. I mean, usually being military, the first thing you're going to go is thank you for serving, you know, like you lost your fucking leg. Yeah. This is insane. And I'm signing it, you know? But geez,
any been like really overzealous people that maybe you just like?
Oh yeah, we've been freaked out before. There's been people that have been like, you know, it's really hard when somebody comes up and they're like really crying and they're like, we're already somewhat awkward. We're all fucking awkward. Let me just play, you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, it's like you come up and it's not their fault. I mean, I understand. Maybe I would cry if I walked up and. Like, let's say I met one of my favorite songwriters ever, or one of my favorite artists. Let's say I walked up to like, and I've done, hey, one of the stories I might tell, I will tell it, but it's like about a respected musician that I was around and embarrassed the shit out of myself. And so like, let's say I walked up and let me pick somebody else though. Like Neil Young's one of my favorite musicians. So what if I went up and I, you know, got this chance to meet him and tell him what his songs have meant. And I just started screaming, crying and shaking. And almost convulsions.
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck's he going to react? You know, he's going to be like, what do I do with this? And I get it. But, I mean, I can't be mad at somebody who's done it. We've had that happen. And, you know, and it's not just female. It could be anything. Place, they, them, whatever. Any kind of human.
Yeah.
Like, could just have that breakdown. And being on the other side of it, like I feel almost guilty or not guilty. I feel bad and not insecure for that person, but almost like, how do you handle it? and make the person feel better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the only thing I've ever come up with is, it's okay. We really feel awkward too. we don't know what to say either, you know? So yeah, there's been countless of those kind of things.
If you want to see the masters of that, you need to go on YouTube and watch some of the meet and greets with Metallica. Dude, it's insane, like how just awkward the people are, and like James is trying to be like, okay, man, yeah, and like hugging people. It's
I gotta watch that.
It's
See,
insane.
I didn't watch enough of that shit. Maybe I need to take tips from the masters.
Yeah.
Of the master pastors, you know, like the past rockers who dealt with so much of this, you know.
You should check it out, man.
I remember one of my favorites was watching Dio, and he was incredible. Like, you know, he would come out and he would just sign shit. Look, the point is nowadays, you know what's tough is we do meet and greets, and people, and I'm going to throw this out here. I don't think I've ever said this in an interview, but I think being a fellow musician and completely understand this, and due to our conversation before, I could just spell it out. People will wait, and then they will get super angry if you're not like, yeah, sure, come up on the bus, meet the whole family, just, you know, and it's like, well, honestly, you feel like you're saying to that person, look, somebody paid an extra $120 for them and their kid and their wife to get on a line to fucking sign something and take a picture before the show and hear an acoustic song. And they paid for that. And now you're just waiting outside at the end of the show in the rain. I'm sorry, that's your choice, but you're waiting here. And I basically want to say, hey, I feel bad for the people that fucking paid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I'm not going to stop.
Yeah.
Like, but before those days, before paying for meet and greets and stuff, like, you know, I remember watching Dio. He would just come out and he would sign everything for everything. We used to do that, honestly, Chris. We used to do that all the time. We'd come out and we would just go around and we'd sign literally everything. But by the time we started doing it more of like you know, it became like
it's a revenue stream.
Yeah, it's a part of the show.
Yeah.
It became a part of the show. Like, if you want this
with
part of
what
the show.
with what we were talking about earlier with not really making the money off of streaming or whatever, like you have to find revenue streams. When I was, you know, a couple years ago, I thought the whole VIP meet and greet thing was kind of sketchy, but then I started realizing there's only so many ways to make money off your art. If someone wants to pay money to meet you, that should be part of it, you know?
Well, yeah, and we do it for like we do it like, and we try and make it like really extreme. Like when we've done like album tours, like we make it really special. We give them a cassette of the demos.
Yeah,
we do all, you know, and it's like, but then you come outside and there's like these people and they're like, we couldn't afford that, and it's like, I understand that, but somebody did, and they probably couldn't either. They just fucking sprang for it, and they, you know, they spent the like part of their rent, and now I'm gonna stand here with you, you know, and like. Because people will just pay for the signing thing. They won't even pay for, you know, like, and because you got like the different things you could do. I don't know. Now I feel like a dick that I brought it there, but you know,
you're not
like
a dick. You're being realistic, and that's what this show's
I'm just
about.
trying to be real about it. Like it's something you don't usually say in interviews, and I had to kind of say it finally. You know, it's
I mean, you've got to pay to feed your kids and to pay your bills. Like there has to be other revenue streams on tour. Sometimes, I mean. You've got to get creative in this landscape of what the industry is now.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you're going to see somebody on the street and you're getting like, I will stand and talk to somebody like, let's put it this way. If I come out and like, there's like 7 people by the bus and they're just chilling and they're like, nah, man, they're like, you know, we just really wanted to talk, you know, and the thing is also one other little tidbit. There'll be a lot of people that'll just be like, well, why won't Claudio come out? The motherfucker just sang for an hour and a half, like, you know, in this crazy, like, high, you know, high frequency, like, you know, all these different things you love hearing him do live. And you'll be pissed if you can't do them tomorrow night if you're coming to the show again. But you want him to stand in the pouring rain or the snow or the ice. It's like, no, that's why you could come to the meet and greet and it's in a fucking environmentally, you know, safe place for sickness, you know, like, so, you know, it's like kind of like one of those things where it's like, you want to say that too. It's like, nah, dude needs to go to sleep. But if I come out and I'm like chilling and I just got done and there's like 5 or 6 people, you know, I'm going to stop and talk to them and shoot the shit. But if it's like 20 people, that's where it becomes like, dude, you created your own meet and greet and that ain't cool.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
Like, so.
Well, and it's like people feel like they love your band and they're owed something.
Exactly.
That's not correct.
The age. That's the age we live in now. Like they're owed the music. They're owed this. They're owed that. Like, and that fits into everything you were talking about before.
Well, okay, so we've got through the questions from the listeners. I actually want to hear that story. You said you had a story ready to go, so let's
I
check
got
it
a
out.
couple of them, but I'll, like, I never have like fully told this one story where, and it's always been, you got those heartbreaker stories for yourself, like, especially when it comes to the old booze.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I was fucking, we had gotten offered. We were recording No World for Tomorrow with Nick Raskulinecz. So this isn't a tour story; it's recording.
Didn't you guys record with Taylor Hawkins from the Foo Fighters as well?
He was recording drums,
Yeah.
so that's where this all fits in. And what a fucking cool guy! And
he's
a cool
great,
experience.
man. He's awesome. I've met him a couple times. He's wonderful.
Yeah, man, and we having this cool experience. So we go to a party a couple of days. Like we were doing pre-production with Taylor Hawkins, and we're doing all this stuff. I'm just getting used to Nick Raskulinecz because. Who's also this super guy. We got this dude Fig who's doing engineering and, basically, part of the production too. But so we actually didn't meet Fig yet at this point. We were doing pre-production. Fig played with, you remember the band Amen?
Yeah, I do remember that band. Yeah.
Yeah. He played guitar for them.
Okay.
So, that's just a side tidbit. We were surrounded by people that were respectful musicians. You know what I'm saying? Like, and people you admire. So we're fucking, we went to this party over at Nick's one night, and it was just one of those nights. Like, there was like people there, like all around that we just respected. And Dave Grohl just rolls by, and he's like, we're just, having beers with Dave Grohl and chilling by this dude's pool, and we're laughing. It was a good time. I mean, one of the other things, dude, fucking Rudy Sarzo was there. And like, that was just like, what? You know what I mean? Like, he's just chilling there. And I remember him complimenting my King Crimson shirt. And I was like, oh, but, and he was talking about fucking Randy Rhoads. It was just like surreal, you know? He's sitting there talking about like, Sharon Osbourne's book and about Randy Rhoads and all this shit. And I was like, how surreal is this? And so, I guess it was like 2007, maybe. Yeah. So they were doing what album was it with the Pretender?
I remember that. I can't remember that. Wasting Light or something like that.
Yeah, Wasting Light. Yeah, which is a great record. So, but they're mixing that record, in this studio called The Path, where we are about to come record. And I think that the first day of recording we might have already just started, or it might have been like the first day of recording that we were going to go in. But so it's a few days after, like, it's like we did the pre-production and we're going to go in and record, or we just started and they're doing mixing next door and all the stars are kind of aligned, and Heaven and Hell, which we toured with later, which was Black Sabbath, what they called themselves. Yeah. At that point, we're touring and basically we wanted to go, and Pete Stahl, he sang for the band.
Yeah, I know Pete, and I've had Franz on the show before.
There you go. Yeah. I got to hear that one. I didn't know he was on there.
It's early. It was like one of the first like 5 or 6 episodes.
Oh, sick. I can't wait to fucking listen to that. So Pete was working with us, but also our good friend. And he's like, of course, Dave Grohl was in Scream with them. And so he's just like, look, man, we'll all go to the Heaven and Hell show. Dave's getting a bus, and we're going to take the bus down to the show and just play, party in the parking lot. And it was like, what? And he's like, yeah, he said you guys come along.
That's awesome.
So little tidbit, and this is hilarious because anybody would go, yeah, right, whatever. Everybody has an excuse for why they got hammered that time. Believe me, I've gotten hammered terribly so many times in life where there just was no excuse, just how my body chemically handled it that night, or I was an idiot. Yeah. But this day in particular, Claude would back this up. We were doing these like fucking diet things as the band, and it actually worked extremely well at that point. But it was like these meals that would just get delivered because we were living in LA at the time. We were living in LA to record the album. So we were there for about a month and a half, 2 months. And so, like I said, we were only there about a week and a half, but we had just started these things. And that day we got this fish dish, like this breakfast I didn't like, or fish dish. And Claude was even there, and he saw that I had my 2 meals. He's like, "You didn't eat any of this." And I was like, "Dude, I don't fucking like that, man. I don't want to eat that shit." So I didn't eat all day. And we go to this, and he was like, "Well, you should have maybe have something." And I was like, "I'll be fine. I'll eat later tonight." So we get on this bus, and we're headed towards the Heaven and Hell show. And, I won't throw out like everybody that was on there, but we'll just say, Dave Grohl was there, and there was a handful of other people that you would respect being around.
Can you give us one other person on the bus?
Might have been a member of the Pixies there.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Yeah.
But, so we're basically in this bus, and we're hanging out, and Nick's there too. Nick Raskulinecz. We're about to do an album with him. We just started to do an album with him. So we're on the way, and, basically I think we're drinking Jack and Cokes. Everything's going nice. We're having laughs. He busts out this Icelandic schnapps. Don't ask me, but all I remember is thinking it tasted like rye bread.
Yeah.
And in my stupid mind, like, I'll impress him because I could drink like, I'm fucking can drink like crazy. I could do this. So doing that shot after shot of that. And we're joking about something. And I can remember being like, ooh, it's hitting a little hard. And we're in the parking lot. I think I did another shot, had another however many drinks. And then there's shotgunning beers in the back. And then we start shotgunning beers. And I think that by this time I had so many shots and whatever that I like shotgunned a beer. And, like that kind of party foul where you go to shotgun a beer, or not shotgun, it was funneling beers. They were funneling beers.
Okay.
So we start funneling the beer, and I got like all the way down, and I had to spit some out because I got,
yeah.
It was like, oh, and I was like, fuck. And like, damn it, like didn't impress everybody with drinking, like this total 27-year-old, so fuck that. I just grabbed another beer, and I think I went for it again. And then like, did another shot or whatever happened. And then like, I remember like coming across a couple other people in the parking lot, and thinking this is so awesome. And then black. Don't remember. It's all gone. All I knew were stories after. We were following Dave Grohl around on the inside of the... Oh, it gets worse, though. Don't worry. This is going to hit ahead. So we're following him around in the actual arena. I think it was Staples or whatever. And we're following him around in there. And I guess like he even fell because he was hammered. Not like me, but he was hammered. But I guess he fell. And then we tried to go upstairs to like, it was Dave Grohl. So they were going to like let him upstairs to hang out with the Sabbatooths. It's before we would ever met any of those guys. So it was like, oh my God, I might cross paths with Geezer Butler and Tony Iommi and Dio and fucking, Vinny Appice. And I'm like, dude, here we go. Like, and I'm not there. Mind you, Chris, I'm not there. This is blackout. So I don't even remember this, but supposedly they're trying to go up the steps and they kind of looked at me and they're like, we're not letting that guy up, And so I think that I failed everybody on that. And so then, and all the while Claudio's like, he's over there and he's been having a blast, but he's kind of watching me deteriorate as he's done many times in life. And we do that for each other, but he's dealt with a lot of times where I've been like, it's been like, oh God, here we go. So he said, who knows what's going to happen with this guy? And so he's watching this kind of happen. And then I guess eventually, from what I told, we went back on Dave Grohl's bus after the show. And I guess I was in the back. And I don't know, maybe partaking in other, like maybe we smoked a little weed or whatever. But I know there was a little bit more. Maybe I think I tried to take another shot or whatever. But needless to say, whatever led to it, I projectile Reagan from Exorcist barfed all over the back. And I just continuously fucking vomiting.
In the bus?
In the bus. Okay. They had to put me in a bunk. And supposedly I would get up from the bunk in Led Zeppelin boxers, nonetheless. Which I had these boxers where Jimmy Page is like pointing out your ass or something.
Yeah.
And, but my pants, I mean, look, this is funny to describe, and it's funny 11 years later, But let's face it, the next morning was just like, I'm done.
Yeah,
I can never drink again. It was one of those.
It's like rock
what
bottom.
Am I doing? Am I going to a rehab? Yeah, it was that. And so basically, I was in the bunk, and I would keep getting up and not like really knowing who was there, and going to piss and just going right back to the bunk. Almost like, I think in my drunken blacked out mind, I was just sleeping in one of our, at that time we had been in buses. So I was sleeping in buses that we had. And they basically carried me out eventually to put me in a cab to take me back to where we were staying. And I fell flat on my face on the concrete. And I woke up the next day like, what the fuck happened? And in a blink of an eye, I had to go into that studio with a whole different outlook on the whole thing. Like, but the day before, it was all excitement. And we made an incredible record, and those dudes were awesome still, but forever I couldn't help being like, dude, when he looks at me, all he thinks is that guy puked on my bus, and he was a pain in the ass, you know? And I saw him years later through Pete, and I apologized for it, and I still think even then, because you go back to being awkward around people you respect.
Yeah.
I think I just was so awkward trying to apologize. I think, like, he was like, oh, dude, it's all good. It's water under the bridge. And I think I put my arm around him and Pete, and I was like, oh, good, the band's back together. And he kind of looked and he was like, what the fuck? And he bounced, so I was just like, I guess I fucking flaked on. I failed on that again. So if I ever cross paths again, I'm not even going to mention it. I'm just going to be like, hey, man, good to see you.
Well, dude,
or maybe I won't say a word.
when I met Dave, I had a Bad Brain shirt on, and he just started automatically talking about like old DC hardcore and stuff. And I was really nervous, but after about 10 minutes, I just felt like I was talking to a buddy,
Well, he is that way. And that's why I'm like, like maybe someday I think that's the thing is like we were hanging out with people we knew we would get along with so well.
Yeah.
And I feel like I literally puked on that scenario. You know what I'm saying? And if there's a band that I think Coheed would work with very well touring, a bigger band that we would do well supporting would be Foo Fighters.
Oh, definitely.
You could only hope that would happen someday. And if the puke thing put a bad taste, no pun intended, hopefully there's a way to get that taste out of there. But, there's one other scenario like that with another band, and that is a tour story. And that was Download Fest in UK.
Yeah.
So in the Download Fest in the UK, I basically, now this is even like a little deeper because I was ready to go home,
Yeah.
Been over there for about, I don't know if you remember, we would basically there and stay there for 5 weeks, and that's not something we do as often anymore. I mean, if it was worth it, we would, but I mean, being over there can be, if you remember, like there was even payphone keeping in touch back then. Like,
it was tough.
You didn't have cell phones. It was crazy. So it's probably about 2008. We did have cell phones, but it cost an arm and a leg to make one call.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to FaceTime, you were literally doing it through Skype on your computer. So it was just, I was kind of at the rope's end, and we had a bad show at Download. And I just got fucking hammered, like just, carrying around a bottle of Makers kind of hammered. And we were next door to a band that fucking loved since teenagers, Jimmy Eat World.
Oh, yeah.
And I go into Jimmy Eat World's dressing room with Claudio. Yet again, he had to be the side man to this bullshit. He actually recorded it. I'm like, go in and I'm fucking like doing like this rap for him about goats or something. And they're just like, wow, this guy is so hammered. And, that's pretty painless and all. It is whatever. But what happened after was just brutal. I went back into our dressing room, and meanwhile, I'm just being a fucking idiot maniac because I'm just in bad brains,
Yeah.
to use that again. I'm like, I want to go home kind of shit, and I'm blacked out, and our guitar tech, Kevin, comes up and he hugs me from behind, and like we're on steps on a trailer. And I don't know if you remember, but a lot of the festivals, they still do it. They'll use these like little stakes on the side of the trailers to hold them down with rope. And it was one of those stakes in the ground, and I went back and my whole forehead sliced open, like on this fucking huge steak, and I had like I had to get 5 stitches that night. But so anyway, they're next door, still in their dressing room, and they watch and hear this whole thing. And so yet again, one of those mornings, the next day, stitches in my forehead. Got to go play a gig the next day, apologizing to everybody. I mean, shit, I really upped the ante with them. But so those are 2 pretty fucked up good ones. They don't make it glamorous though.
Well, no, but it's real. I mean, that stuff happens. Like, I've never been a big drinker, but the times on tour where I kind of let loose, I don't have a lot of memories of what happened after that.
Yes, exactly. I've gotten a lot, like through hard falling. I've there have been times where and it could still happen in life. I have a lot of friends that I very much respect their decision to just stay away from it. But, I'll always know that I'm the type of person that, and I've taken periods of time where I've just gone completely dry for months. And especially when my wife was pregnant with, our children.
Yeah.
I would just be like, dude, I'm on tour. If I get a call, I can't be fucking hammered, And so those were big steps for me in the existence. But I mean, I even have an embarrassing story from last year. That's just dude, how did I get so hammered that happened? And it was on tour, but it's just they are so few and far between finally in life where I'm finally at the point where and I know when it's coming. I have this kind of thing where I know oh, you're feeling that you want to get hammered kind of thing. And this could be dangerous. Are you doing okay enough in your life right now that you're going to go in that place? Because if you go that place, your demons might take over, I'm not the type of person, because I'm a bigger guy and people think I'll look angry that I'm going to want to fight. They'll be like, you look like you want to fight everybody. Well, I really don't. I'm not that type of person unless you fucking, hit my wife or one of my kids or one of my band members or a family member or something, then I'm going to want to come at you. But other than that, I'm just fucking drunk. That's all I am. And I just look I call it baby brain when you get baby brained. Okay. And I rarely get fucking baby brained anymore, but I could tell when I'm looking towards getting baby brained. And I know now in life, I'm not trying, this isn't a PSA, but I know for me personally, if shit's fucked up and I'm very anxious and I deal with anxiety stuff and OCD stuff, I have a lot of things I deal with. And if I'm having episodes with that kind of shit or anything like that's going on, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
I just have to stay away from it completely. So I never would have known that at 28, or I did know it, but I wanted to ignore it. That's basically where we're at now.
Well, and the thing is, you're the same age as I am. We're both 40. And I think figuring that out and becoming a father, I have 2 kids, you have some kids, and figuring out what works for you and what doesn't and how to control those things. I think we're still fairly young. We've got a lot of time left.
Oh yeah. I'm still learning, dude. I know you are probably too, I mean, kudos to the person that thinks they got it figured out, but I ain't got shit figured out, man. I still fucking run into the same walls sometimes, and I'm like, really? I thought you had that. Well, no, because there was something else to be learned by it, But hey, man, I mean, I told 2 stories that were kind of brutal. I have countless stories that are incredible, great times.
Well, here's what we're gonna do, because I tend to cap these around an hour. We're at about an hour 15. I want to have you back for a part 2, and all we're going to do is just talk stories.
Yeah. Sounds good, man.
So, what's coming up in the future? You said you guys are going on the road. Is there anything else in the future that you can tell us about?
Well, yeah, we got the show coming up. The show's coming up with Mastodon and Every Time I Die happening. And then we're going to be off for at least a little bit of time in July. And then after July, we're headed towards, to Europe for a couple of shows. How you doing, man? Oh, sorry. Hold on 1 second, Chris.
Okay.
I'll be off in 1 second. How are you? Hey. Yeah, so it's okay. So basically we're gonna do this this little run in Europe for festivals and stuff. And then after that, we're going to come home and and spend a little bit more time with the family. And the only thing that's announced is in October we're doing something Exit 111 or something. Shit, man, it's a festival, and I should know the name right off the bat, but it's pretty sick because Guns N' Roses plays the same night as us, and I'm hoping that we can hang out and stay and watch them. It's a great lineup, actually. You know, I'm super excited for it.
Cool.
But yeah.
So
what are you at? Where are you at right now?
I am in Muncie, Indiana, in the middle of the country. Yeah, I'm on the same time as you, though. It's weird. It's like Eastern time, like jets over into Indiana, but it's like above us in Chicago and Michigan. They have different time. So,
but do you want to come to a show? Is there a show that's closest to you?
I mean, I'm gonna figure it out. I got to look at the tour dates, but yeah, dude, if there's a show close, I'm fucking there.
Yeah, text me, man. Let me know.
Awesome, dude. Well, hey, what are the socials for you and your band so everybody can check it out?
Well, I'm just Trav Stever on Instagram, and the band is, Coheed and Cambria on Instagram. And then Facebook's, there's artist page for Coheed. I have an artist page, a couple other projects, there's artist page for those. But I mean, to really link up to see all the band stuff is to go to the Facebook or the website, and you see all the dates. And then, of course, Twitter is just, I think it's just Coheed and Cambria.
Okay. Cool. Well, hey, man, I'm telling you, this was an amazing chat, and I'm going to have you back in the future. I want to hear all the stories. And if there is a show close to me, I'm there and we're hanging out, man.
Yeah. Look at him right now. If you want, I could send you, or, just hit up the website and tell me if there's anything close. And cool. I would love for you to come out if you want to bring the family, whatever.
Yeah, definitely, man. And it's been so nice reconnecting with you. I know it's been like years and years since we've seen each other.
I know, and we went on, and the interview went on all about this other shit, but, maybe, talk about, even some of the stuff, because we had a lot of times on our tours, but it's we got you get on tangents about other stuff,
Well, I'll definitely have you back for a part 2, and we'll talk about everything, man. So thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Thanks for having me, Chris.
And I know you guys are doing rehearsals coming up, so good luck with that, and I can't wait to hopefully see you guys on the road.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it too. Hopefully you can come out.
Well, Travis, have a great night, and I will talk to you soon, buddy.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
So there it was, my conversation with Travis from Coheed and Cambria. I hope you guys enjoyed that. The tour that he was talking about with Every Time I Die and Mastodon, that has concluded. This episode was recorded quite a while ago, but I'm sure they've got other dates coming up. So go on over to coheedandcambria.com and see if they're coming to your neck of the woods, because you don't want to miss them. They are one of the most amazing bands I've ever seen, and they're just awesome. And their new record, The Unheavenly Creatures, is so good. They have not lost a step at all. I mean, I love all their records. I'm always a fanboy, but Coheed is one of my bands, and I love them. So check out their new record, The Unheavenly Creatures. And that's it for this week. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. Next week on the show, Mr. Daryl Wilson from the Bullweevils, one of my favorite Chicago punk bands. Daryl's got a crazy story, man. Not only is he the singer in this amazing punk band, he's an emergency room doctor. So we talk about all kinds of cool stuff. So come back next week for episode number 61 with Daryl Wilson from the Bullweevils. We have so many great guests coming up, so please keep checking out TOTOTpodcast.com. Subscribe, review, rate on all the apps, wherever you listen to podcasts. We're on Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, everywhere you can listen, we exist. So thank you so much. I'm going to get out of here. If you guys want to be a sponsor, hit me up, tototpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to be eligible for the Merge 4 contest, become a patron over at patreon.com/TOTOT podcast. And that's it. I'm out of here. I'm going to play a really, really cool song that I love off of Coheed and Cambria's new record, The Unheavenly Creatures. This song is called Unheavenly Creatures. Thank you very much. We'll catch you next week. Chris out.
We were young and had it all figured out. She was the quiet one and I had the mouth, until she fell to her knees. We escaped through the alley in the back. George told the creature, don't you dare
Hey, this is Dewey Halpus, host of the Peer Pleasure Podcast, part of the Jabberjaw Media Podcast Network. The Peer Pleasure Podcast is an arts and culture podcast. Join me as I discuss life and content with your favorite performers, artists, and creatives. From Fall Out Boy to Slayer, there's something for everyone. Listen and subscribe at jabberjawmedia.com.
This is the Jabberjaw Podcast Network.